My name is Abby Treffer, and this is my book club collection spreadsheet presentation. So, the purpose and importance of my book club is to talk with students about strong feelings they experience, specifically anger, what it looks like, what it feels like, and how to deal with it. My essential question is, what should I do when I feel angry? And I am um, teaching this at a first grade level. So, the first text that I chose to include in my book club collection is called When Sophie Gets Angry, Really, Really Angry by Molly Bang. Sophie is playing at home when her little sister takes her stuffed gorilla. It makes her very angry, so she decides to run into the woods. She cries, climbs a tree, and takes a moment to calm down. She returns home to her loving family and isn't angry anymore. This text requires students to understand that there are certain situations that might cause them to feel very angry, and there are different ways to deal with anger. This text uses student-friendly language that is familiar to them. It asks students to relate by thinking of a time that they might have felt angry and how they might have dealt with it. The reader's task from this text is to find a way to relate to the text and think about the things that have made them angry and how they dealt with it in the past, or how they might deal with similar situation in the future. This text mainly focuses on reading comprehension and building off of prior knowledge to relate to the character in the story. This text also asks readers to think about the author's purpose, which you'll notice all 6 of my texts have very similar readers' tasks. The Lexile Measure, Guided Reading Level, and DRA Level is available at the bottom. The next text I used is called The Way I Feel. This book goes through all of the feelings that a person might have and what causes them. The author goes into great detail about how strong those feelings can be and what they might cause us to do or what those feelings stem from. This book addresses the different feelings and emotions students are experiencing on a daily basis. The language used is appropriate for young readers as it includes language that has been heard by them before. The author does a great job of explaining in depth what those feelings are like by comparing them to different circumstances. This book shows readers the different feelings they might experience and what they are like, and asks the readers to relate to those feelings by thinking of times when they felt the same way. The reader's task is to relate to the text by digging into their prior knowledge about their own feelings. This text mainly focuses on reading comprehension and building off of prior knowledge to relate to the character in the story. This text also asks readers to think about the author's purpose. Again, the guided reading level and DRA level is available at the bottom. The next text is I Was So Bad by Mercer Mayer. Little Critter continuously gets told no for everything he wants to do at home. He gets angry and is feeling discouraged. All of the things his family suggests for him to do, he is not interested in doing. He considers running away, but chooses to stay when his mom allows him to play with his friends. This book talks about feeling angry and resentful after being told no time and time again. It relates to situations that young readers have experienced with their own parents. It uses student-friendly language and talks about the feelings and situations their students are familiar with. This book requires students to think about similar situations they have experienced and how it might have made them feel, and asks them to dig into their prior knowledge to relate to the main character. This text mainly focuses on reading comprehension and building off of prior knowledge to relate to the character in the story. This text also asks readers to think about the author's purpose. The Lexile Measure, Guided Reading Level, and DRA Level is available at the bottom. The next text is called Llama Llama Mad at Mama. Llama is asked to go shopping with his mother. At first he is fine, but eventually he gets tired of shopping. He has a tantrum and his mother shows him how they can work through cleaning up his mess and finishing up the shopping together, even though it isn't so fun. This text relates to young readers as it is about a young llama being upset with his mama for taking so long at the store shopping. This text rhymes and therefore is easier for students to predict what is coming next in the text and helps with decoding words. There are some trickier words in this text, but the rhyming pattern helps students. This asks students to think about their own experience shopping and times they might have felt similar to llama. This text mainly focuses on reading comprehension and building off of prior knowledge to relate to the character in the story. It also asks readers to think about the author's purpose. My next text is called Wild Feelings. This book recognizes all of the emotions that we all feel on a daily basis for different reasons and acknowledges that they are normal and happen to everybody. It is targeted at young readers by identifying different emotions and what it feels like when you are experiencing them in a kid-friendly way. It uses language that is easy for young readers to understand and relate to. Students are able to think about things that make them feel different emotions and what they do to deal with them. And this book asks them to remember that all emotions are normal and it is okay to experience them for whatever reason. This text mainly focuses on reading comprehension and building off of prior knowledge to relate to the character in the story. It also asks readers to think about the author's purpose. The next text is called The Feelings Book. This book takes readers through all of the emotions that are normal to feel and what they might cause them to want to do. It talks about sharing feelings with those who we love instead of keeping those feelings bottled inside. It uses language that is easy for young readers to understand and relate to. The language in this text is simple, familiar, and easy to understand. This text asks readers to find times when they too have felt these emotions and to think of how they would feel if they were experiencing similar situations. This text mainly focuses on reading comprehension and building off of prior knowledge to relate to the character in the story. It also asks readers to think about the author's purpose. For my discussion questions, I have 3. Question 1, what are all of the different kind of feelings we have? Question 2, what are some things that might make us feel happy, sad, or angry? Question 3, what are some examples of things we should not do when we are angry? For my writing opportunity, for the text When Sophie Gets Angry, really, really angry, I would ask students to write a short story about the time that they were very angry and what they did to calm down to deal with their strong feelings. I would then have them share with a partner and ask, is that the way you would handle it if it happened to you again? How will you handle this strong feeling of anger when it happens to you next time? For my first strategy that relates to my essential question, I got this from the John Zielinski text called What's the Purpose? So the first thing I want to do is talk with students to identify a few of the emotions we all experience and feel. I would write responses on the board, talk with students about the many emotions we feel and what might make us feel those. Talk about the fact that reading can be done for different purposes and that their purpose should guide their reading. Ask students, what is the author trying to teach me? Encourage students to think aloud and model some of the purposes they have for reading. Be sure they also explain how they went to achieving their purposes and whether they were successful. What does the author want me to know about feeling angry? That would be the main question we would be asking ourselves when it comes to the purpose for that particular text. The next strategy I would use for the essential question to answer it is the KWL chart. So explain that a KWL chart prompts them to think about what they already know, what they want to know, and after reading, what they have learned. So we would identify the topic that students will be exploring, make a KWL chart, and then complete each section together, asking, what do students know about feeling angry? What do we want to learn about feeling angry? After reading the text together, what did we learn about feeling angry? Lastly, I have my references. Thanks for listening.